In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how Clavicular makes an estimated $74,000 a month selling his looksmaxing course on Skool. First, we're gonna be looking into the content strategy he uses to attract people into his ecosystem, then the method of nurturing those people through lifestyle marketing to the point of desire, next how he converts them on autopilot into his paying members, and then perhaps the most important, so how he retains them so that they keep paying him month over month. Love him or hate him, over the past few weeks he's completely taken over social media. So if you're a business owner, and especially if you sell courses, coaching or communities, then at the end of this video you're gonna know exactly how he achieved his success and how you can copy and paste it into your own business. From a simplistic perspective, Clavicular uses the traditional strategy of attract, educate, and convert. So broadly speaking, he's attracting people into his audience with top of the funnel content, educating and nurturing them through his lifestyle marketing that we will explain later in this video, and then he converts them through a simple funnel directly on Skool. So first, to explain how he is actually attracting people into his funnel and also why he chose to go with clips as a main vehicle of gathering traffic, we need to understand this. By creating a brand, he distinguished himself from the crowd. It is basically around his transformation, you can say going from rags to riches. And at this point, it is worth noting that he sells to teenagers, which generally speaking requires more extreme views and more showing off to get their attention. And this is very much echoed throughout his brand and his content. There are several associations he developed with things like masculinity, confidence, self-improvement, materialism, and the hookup culture. And finally, all of this is informed by the pains and the dream outcome of his ICP. So before, there are someone who is unattractive, shy, has zero charisma, and also zero game with women. But after that, they are strong, confident, charismatic, with high status, and basically everything that they ever wanted. So this is really the transformation that he sells. And of course, the mechanism is his looksmaxing community and course. So this brand that he built informs his content strategy. Now, his main method of gathering traffic is clipping. And to understand and answer the question why he decided to go with this strategy, we need to first know the difference in generating traffic on social media. So there are three main ways every single business/creator will be generating traffic. That can be done through intentionally created top of the funnel short form strategy, with Shelby Sapp as a good example of that. The next would be running traditional paid ads on Meta, and that is what of course 90% of businesses do. And the last is the most recent one, the clipping strategy. It's important to point that every way has its advantages and disadvantages. And the reason why Clav, TGR or Breast Scales decided to use clipping as the main source of traffic is that in their case it actually makes sense. And what I mean by that is if you sell B2C to a non-sophisticated buyer, meaning like in their scenario to 14 to 20-year-olds with limited budget and zero experience in the domain, then clipping works better than those two. And that's because it is the cheapest way to generate attention and by extension of that, in this case, revenue. See, the business of Clav basically looks like this. The more attention he generates, no matter what he does to generate this attention, the more money he makes, which is not exactly true in most niches. Because if we were to imagine a lawyer who does some extreme controversial stuff, we can predict that yes, in a short term that would probably benefit his business just by the sheer number of attention, but probably long term it would look something like this. So that is why there are literally hundreds of those clipping communities right now where Clav can get 1K views from anywhere from $1 to $3, which is of course 5 to 10 times cheaper than with running paid ads on Meta. And only by understanding this, we can see why Clavicular spends hundreds of thousands of dollars on his clipping army to push his brand and associations even further, successfully attracting people into his ecosystem. And he directs those people using those three mechanisms. The first one is just slapping his URL to watch his streams on all of those videos. The second is the link in the bio that will either direct you to his Kick channel or sometimes straight to a landing page of his Skool community. And the last thing is a lead magnet in his bio that if you type, it will trigger a ManyChat automation that will ultimately funnel you into his Skool community. And that actually leads us into step number 2. After generating traffic, now is the time to nurture them so that they can start to like and trust him. There is two rules when it comes to this play here: 80-20 rule and the 7-11-4 rule. See, Clav knows that 20% of people will be motivated enough just by consuming the clips to check his Skool community and potentially convert into paying members. And we're gonna talk about this process a little later, but that means that 80% needs more content and touchpoints with him to successfully convert. And that's when the 7-11-4 rule comes into play. This rule, research from Google, basically says that people on average needs to consume 7 hours of content across 11 touchpoints on 4 different platforms to have enough trust and conviction to buy. And here is how he does it. See, instead of going the traditional route like his competitors and create educational value-based content, he focuses much more on the actual outcome, the dream of his product, than about the science and the mechanisms behind it. Instead of selling the plane ticket, which is all the hard work and the sacrifice, he sells the destination. And he does it through this simple equation: lifestyle marketing plus controversy equals money. First, the lifestyle marketing. He funnels most of his traffic, like we said earlier, to his streams, where people can binge watch him all day long. Those streams are mostly entertainment, but also sometimes Clav will educate his viewers. But the main purpose of those streams is selling the dream. The how will my life look like after the transformation. On them he will meet models, be on yachts, meet famous people, and basically live a dream of his ICP. And the second part of the equation is controversy. On social media, especially in 2025 and going into 2026, controversy sells. And it sells really well in his scenario because it creates this constant cycle of reinforcement. First he will say something controversial, then it will get clipped, getting a ton of reach. That will get him even more people to show on his stream, successfully creating a positive loop of growth. On top of that, he will also frequently speak on different podcasts and talk shows, which ultimately gives him enough of exposure and opportunity for his viewers to watch 7 hours of content across 4 different platforms. And that actually leads us into conversion. For that, Clav uses a simple landing page VSL structure on his Skool community, where first there is a typical short VSL that he uses, a very straightforward VSL format, where first he does a call out, then he goes through the pain points of the ICP, then the dream outcome, then he will jump into his proof, then he actually covers the value part, so someone will get if he goes and becomes a member of the community, and at the end he does a call to action to do it. On top of that, there are those 2 slides that you can check. One of them is showing all the courses that you will have inside, and the second one is just a little bit more proof. When it comes to the copy, first he calls out his ICP. He does the typical push and pull method of saying both who should buy it and also who shouldn't, where the thing I like is that he's very precise both with the components and also with the numbers. To be honest, I think the only improvements to this Skool page would be to separate the value stack from the other copy and also fix the links. Because of the day of recording, they don't even work, and this is of course a big waste of space that could be utilized to create even more influence or maybe show more proof. So now you understand how Clav pulls people into his funnel, how he educates them, how he builds trust, and how he turns them into paying members. So we have really only covered step 1. Now we need to go deeper, because the real question is, how does Clav keep people paying him $49 every single month? And this part is important because acquisition is just the start. Recurring revenue only happens if you do recurring work. Yeah, we put a lot of effort up front, but with this type of products, the real game starts when someone actually joins, because now you have to keep them to create the biggest lifetime value possible. Keeping people inside a subscription on a platform is called retention, and the opposite of that is churn, when someone leaves. So every single month, the member will ask the same question: why I should keep paying this person? And if they don't have a clear answer, they will churn. And that is the reason why Clav is able to make so much money consistently. He doesn't just acquire the customer, he keeps them using what I will call a retention engine. So the retention engine is made out of 8 core mechanisms inside his Skool group that I guess he uses to keep people in. The first one is a joining fee. This is where you charge a one-time fee. Actually, Clav doesn't do that. Usually it's something around $500 to $600 before someone even starts paying monthly. And there are a few reasons why it works. The first one is of course because you are getting the cash flow earlier, and the second is that it creates real commitment, because now fewer people join, yes, but the people who actually join stay longer. They take it seriously, and because of that they get even better results, and better results mean people stick longer around, and that creates the nice reinforcing loop. Next up, quick wins. This matters everywhere, not just in Skool groups, but in business in general. You need to reward people immediately for paying you. That's why games, for example, like Clash Royale that I have right here, are so addictive. They give you fast progress at the beginning, the instant rewards, level ups, like the immediate validation. Over time, those wins slow down, but by then the user is already invested. That exact psychology needs to exist in your Skool group, because the moment when someone joins is actually where they are most likely to leave. So right now you need to show them that they made the right decision. That means a proper onboarding, giving them a personalized roadmap, instant access to the right courses, exclusive resources, one-to-one attention, and immediate engagement with the community. And most importantly, solving their biggest problem immediately. In the Clav's community, if someone joins because, for example, they are insecure about the drawline, the moment they join, they should get a clear, specific protocol that they can start right away. The next pillar is the one-to-one onboarding call. So something that I just spoke about. You can call it a strategy call, growth call, game plan call, doesn't matter. What matters is the goal. You need to build a personal connection, make it feel real, and create accountability. Everything in these communities is online, so people naturally feel disconnected, and one-to-one call fixes that instantly. It also improves results, keep people engaged, reduces churn. And on top of that, it creates space for upsells. Because I'm actually not sure about it, but I would be really surprised if Clav didn't utilize upsells. See, on those onboarding calls, he, or most likely his CSMs, can upsell someone into the backend deals, sometimes probably around 3 to even 8K per ticket, to get the more one-to-one approach or something better. So I would be really surprised if Clav didn't utilize that, because if he's not, he's probably wasting at least $50,000. And of course, I didn't even include that into the 74K number. It's just out of the usual members, but I would be really surprised if he didn't utilize that, because there is easily like 50 to 100K sitting just right here. Next time unlocks. This is where you create content or access that is unlocked based on how long someone has been in the group. What it does is, of course, it builds anticipation, reduces overwhelm, reward consistency, and encourages people to stay longer. Examples would be exclusive community calls, advanced courses, and even mastermind or in-person events. 5 level unlocks. Level unlocks are similar, but instead of time, they are based on engagement. The more active someone is, the more they unlock. Better resources, more access, or higher status in the actual community. This, of course, encourages activity, makes the group feel alive, rewards contribution, and it makes the whole experience of being in the group much better for the average member. But just like with the time unlocks, what's behind the gate needs to actually be very valuable. Next, growth specialists. Once you scale, you need them. Their job is to handle the onboarding at scale, keep people accountable, answer FAQs, engage user in DMs, track activity. Really important here, reach out also to people inactive before they decide to leave, help with the upsells, and in general optimize the backend operations. Given the size of Clav's group, I am sure that he has many of them, because he would not be able to run it on his own. Next up is retention loop. This one is sneaky but very, very powerful and important. Inside Skool, you can add a video to the cancel page. Before someone cancels, they can see a Loom or a YouTube video where you remind them of all the pain points and the dream outcome, the reason why they joined, and show them what they will miss if they leave. And at the end, there is the recovery process. If they cancel, they should be immediately entered into a recovery process. That includes automatic notifications on both email and also across different channels like Skool, Instagram, email, phone number. And both of you will be offering solutions or incentives to bring them back, discounts, maybe some exclusive deals. And also you will be just gathering data why they left, so you can improve on that. And that is it. At this point, you don't just understand how Clav brings people into his Skool group, but you also understand how he keeps them there month after month. And that is it, the full process of how Clav makes an estimated $74,000 on Skool. And if you enjoyed this video and you are a business owner that sells community coaching or courses, then make sure to check the link in the description. And I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.